We're now going to go over the walkthrough form. The walkthrough form for the lease is a very important part of the transaction. It's actually what finalizes the transaction, and you want to make sure that you have this filled out correctly. You want to make sure that at the walkthrough, which is the closing of the rental, you fill this out completely, and both the renter's agent and the listing agent are present. They're walking through the property. You're identifying anything that is not up to par on the property, any scratches on the wall, that the washer dryer is working perfectly. All of this information needs to be filled out completely and signed by both parties. You want to make sure you put the date of that the property was delivered to the tenant, the address of the property. You want to make sure that you read this out loud to your client. Basically what it says is that it's their responsibility to change the filters in the air conditioning and in the hood of the kitchen. It also states what is already in the contract, which is that the tenant has 30 days to report any defects, so it doesn't have to be that exact day, but if something were to happen within those 30 days, the landlord has to fix it immediately. After such date, it is a responsibility for the first, whatever you put in the contract, usually it's $200, of any major cost is responsibility of the tenant. Anything over that, then it has to go to the landlord. You want to make sure that you're putting everything that goes into the clean in other words, when you were walking through and going into the property, all of this was correct. You want to put a check mark, and then at the bottom you want to sign it. When the lease is expired and you're giving this back to the landlord, you want to make sure that you walk it through again. This time you put the date when it was delivered to the landlord, and here you double check everything that was going clean out. And again, it needs to be signed by the resident and by the landlord as to state that everything was clear. This is also an important part of you getting your commission, so you want to make sure that you complete the walkthrough form and that you upload that with all the proper documentation when you're doing a lease, and that way we know that it was completed.